This is Marc Rudov, branding advisor to CEOs and author of 2 books on branding for CEOs and those wishing to become CEOs. My newest book is called Brand is Destiny, the Ultimate Bottom Line. And my first book is Be Unique or Be Ignored, the CEO's Guide to Branding. Today's topic, fear sinks success. The reason that most people, and CEOs also, because they're people, the reason that most people conform and copy each other is because they don't want to stand out. That's why I wrote my first book, Be Unique or Be Ignored, because most companies within any given industry segment copy each other. They look the same, they sound the same. People fear standing out, being unique, and going out on a limb, so they copy each other. If you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, about the transformation about the Oakland Athletics baseball team, it is a phenomenal movie. The star of the movie is Brad Pitt. He plays Billy Beane, the general manager who changed baseball by going out on a limb, by being unique, by taking a risk such that had he failed, he would have been the laughingstock of baseball. And when he made this change, he was derided and derided. And what he did was he said, enough of evaluating baseball players on how they look, how they seem to be, what the imagined potential is. He brings in an assistant GM, a new graduate from Yale with a degree in economics. The fictitious name is Peter Brand, played by Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill is an economics major, and he shows that if you look at the stats of the baseball players, specifically their abilities to get on base, not their heights, not their weights, not their looks, but their abilities to get on base, then you can completely change the way recruitment is done, the economics of the team, and also the winning potential of the team. So it wasn't about the players, it was about the benefits of the players. Sound familiar? So what they did was they brought in players unknown who had proven on the field that they could get on base. And that's the key to winning games, getting on base. And not how good you look. And not how pretty your girlfriend is or your wife is. And that's really how they used to evaluate players. It's benefits, not features. And because these players were unknown, the team could pay them almost nothing, a few $100,000 a year. And that was the key to turning around the team. Because the A's, the Athletics, could not match the payroll of the New York Yankees. But this was a huge change. And Billy Beane put his career and his reputation on the line. I guarantee you most people don't want to do that. That's why, especially in the tech arena, there's this love of technology, love of products, and anybody who goes against that will be ostracized. So when I talk about branding as the number one responsibility and priority of the CEO, people don't like that. And I'm going to show you 2 clips from this movie that underscore what I mean. In the first one, Billy Beane had gone out to Cleveland to visit the Cleveland Indians. He wanted to do a trade, and he noticed this guy, this very young guy in the back of the room, Peter Brand, who whispered something into the ear of one of the executives, quickly ran up to the front desk of Mark Shapiro, the GM of the Indians, and that put the kibosh on the trade. And Billy Beane wanted to know who the hell was this guy who had so much influence, but he was a silent young guy in the back of the room. So he wanted to talk to him to find out who are you and what are you and why are you so influential. They ended up going down into the parking garage where nobody could overhear them. Peter Brand opened up about the danger of speaking out against conformity. And he congratulated Billy Beane for getting rid of Damon on the team, who was getting $7.5 million a year. But I want you to watch this video to see that the same dynamic plays out in your company.
An epidemic failure within the game to understand what is really happening. And This leads people who run Major League Baseball teams to misjudge their players and mismanage their teams. I apologize.
Go on.
Okay. People who run ball clubs, they think in terms of buying players. Your goal shouldn't be to buy players. Your goal should be to buy wins. And in order to buy wins, you need to buy runs. You're trying to replace Johnny Damon. The Boston Red Sox see Johnny Damon and they see a star who's worth $7.5 million a year. When I see Johnny Damon, what I see is an imperfect understanding of where runs come from. The guy's got a great glove. He's a decent leadoff hitter. He can steal bases, but is he worth the $7.5 million a year that the Boston Red Sox are paying him? No. Baseball thinking is medieval. They are asking all the wrong questions. And if I say it to anybody, I'm ostracized. I'm a leper. So that's why I'm cagey about this with you. That's why I respect you, Mr. Bean. And if you want full disclosure, I think it's a good thing that you got Damon off of your payroll. I think it opens up all kinds of interesting possibilities.
So here was Peter Brand in a parking garage telling Billy Bean that the way management of baseball thinks is medieval, that he had to be cagey for fear of being ostracized. How many people in your company have that same fear for speaking out, for telling you, the CEO, no, it's not about technology. No, it's not about products. It's about the brand. The brand is the value proposition to the customers. It's customer validated. It sets the purpose and direction of your company. It paves the path for product development. People, products, and processes are subordinate to the brand. How many people have the guts to say that to you? I'll bet very few. So what happens instead? Conformity. Copying competitors. Using jargon. So this was so different from anything Billy Bean had ever heard before. But he knew in his gut that it was right, because the way they were doing it wasn't working, and they had to change. So Billy Bean went back to Oakland, and he hired Peter Brand to come out to be the assistant general manager. And they changed baseball, and they won 20 games in a row. Now, after that, John Henry, the owner of the Red Sox, played by Arliss Howard, calls up Billy Bean and he wants to hire him. So he flies him out to Boston. And he ultimately offered him $12.5 million, which would have made Billy Bean the highest general manager, the highest paid general manager in sports history. All because he stuck his neck out and he took the chance. I want you to watch the interaction between John Henry and Billy Bean at Fenway Park in Boston.
I know you're taking it in the teeth out there, but the first guy through the wall, he always gets bloody. Always. This is threatening, not just a way of doing business, but in their minds it's threatening the game. But really what it's threatening is their livelihood. It's threatening their jobs. It's threatening the way that they do things. And every time that happens, whether it's a government or a way of doing business or whatever it is, the people who are holding the reins, they have their hands on the switch, they go batshit crazy. I mean, anybody who's not tearing their team down right now and rebuilding it using your model, they're dinosaurs. They'll be sitting on their ass on the sofa in October watching the Boston Red Sox win the World Series.
That was an amazing interaction. And to me, it's the epitome of what really happens in the business world. What John Henry explained to Billy Bean was, you took it in the teeth, meaning you were widely criticized and reviled because you were changing the game. You were upsetting the apple cart. And people don't like that. People who have the reins of power try to hold on to those reins of power. And he explained it happens in politics and it happens in the business world. So anybody who comes along to say, like me, no, it's not about products, it's not about technology, it's not about jargon and copying your competitors and getting in the magic quadrant of the Gartner Group. It's not about that. It's about building a strong brand, which is a connection between you and your customers based on emotion. Because products come and go, technologies come and go, but a brand, a strong brand, does not. The brand of BMW, for as long as the car company has been in existence, is sheer driving pleasure. That's not a car. A car. It is not a technology. It's an emotion. It's a connection. That's what you have to build with your customers. If you want to be number one, you have to be unique. You have to take a risk. You have to go out on a limb, and you have to risk ridicule from your competitors because you might fail. But people who are strong don't fail because they keep trying until they get it right. If you have a lot of fear, you will have a weak brand. And if you have a weak brand, you're going to have a defective destiny, which means you're going to drift for a while and then crash into an iceberg and obviously have a hellacious bottom line. So to sum it up, fear sinks success. You have to emulate Billy Beane. You have to go out on a limb. You have to do what you know is right, not what your competitors are doing. And you have to build a strong brand. Read both of my books. Master this. And beyond my books, I can help you solve these problems. You can reach me, Marc Rudov, at marcrudov.com.